Nandasya Gyananjana-shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam yena tasmai Shri Guruve namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam yena bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So welcome back to the Saturday and Sunday evening series on Sri Bhaktyaloka. We have been discussing the essays of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur on text 2 and text 3 of Sri Upadesh Amrit. In text 2, there are 6 faults beginning with Atyahara, Prayasasya, Prajalpo, Niyamagra. And in text 3, there are 6 good qualities. Utsa, Nishchaya, Dhairya, Tat Karma Pravartana, Sangatyaga, Sato Vritte, Shadbhir Bhaktir Prasidati. So in the 6 good qualities mentioned in text 3, we have up till now discussed Sangatyag, the 5th quality. So today onwards, which is Sadhu Vritti, Sato Vritti is Sadhu Vritti in fact, which is one of the last qualities, 6th quality. We will be discussing this essay, and this is practically one of the longest essays written by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his entire Bhaktyaloka series. It's quite exhaustive and it's very important also because many secrets about spiritual life on how one should follow in the footsteps of the previous great devotees and practice devotional service and attain perfection. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is especially going to refer to the great Mahajans, especially during the time of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this essay, Sadhu Vritti, Bhaktivinoda Thakur begins by explaining what is the meaning of Vritti. Vritti means propensity or nature. Vritti can have various meanings. Mano Vritti, we say, no? Or in the Patanjali Muni's term, the Vritti has, the Vasanas are also Vrittis. So like that, Vritti can have various meanings, but here vritti is basically one's propensity or one's nature. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur is going to discuss from a philosophical perspective this vritti, nature, and how one should follow his nature and engage at the same time practice devotional service, and slowly how one should transcend. Then he goes on to explain what is, according to Varnashram, the Grahastha's propensity, his nature, and what kind of a lifestyle he should lead. And he gives like I think around 38 or 40, I think, around 40 points he mentions that how a Grahastha should follow all this in order to, this is the Sadhu Vritti for Grahastha. And then for renunciates, that's again a very long list. I think it goes on up till, yes, around 50, no, sorry. It is for the renunciates. Yeah, for the renunciates, it is around 18 different aspects he mentions. And then there is only a slight difference between the Grahatyagis and the Grahasthas. That is the renunciates and those who are Grahasthas. So what are the common lifestyles or propensities which both the Grahasthas and the renunciates should follow? And that list goes on to, I think around 53. It's a long list. So like that, as I was mentioning, it is a very long article. And it is very important. If we just abide by the instructions given by Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his essay on Sadhu Vritti, whether we are Grahasthas or Grahatyagis, the Grahasthas, their list is there, the Grahatyagis, their list is there, and then there is a common list. If we can do that, then we have achieved Sadhu Vritti, by which we can attain perfection in devotional service. So this is just the background what I gave. So let us begin now today's essay on the last quality, that is Sato Vritti. Okay. I'll just go through the verse once again because the sixth quality we are going to discuss today. Utsa nishchaya dhairyat tat tat karma pravartanat sangatyagat Sato Vritte Shadbhir Bhakti Prasidati. Sato Vritte. Sato Vritte is actually Sadhu Vritti or Sadhu Vritti. The Sato, Satah, it is actually Satah. Satah means the devotees. Because of Sandhi, it has become Sato Vritte. Vritte. And actually you can see Prabhupada so meticulously in his word-to-word translation mentions or Sadhu Vritti, following in the footsteps of previous acharyas. So this is the article. Now let us see what Bhaktivinoda Thakur has to speak about Sadhu Vritti. So we will begin with his article Bhaktyaloka on Sadhu Vritti. I'll just open the textbook also, as I'm used to it, although we are using the PPT. I have already written separate essays regarding Utsa, Nishchaya, Dhairya, Tat Karma Pravartana, and Sangha Tyaga. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying this. Now I am writing this essay on Sadhu Vritti. So now Bhaktivinoda Thakur is writing an essay on Sadhu Vritti. As I had mentioned in the beginning of Bhaktyaloka seminars, that Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote separate essays and they were published in the Harmonist by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and before also Bhaktivinoda Thakur also had published, I don't recollect where exactly, but Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur had published in his Harmonist magazine. Now all these essays were collected and the book Bhaktyaloka was published by ISKCON. Similarly, we see Srila Prabhupada wrote Ish Upanishad's mantra commentaries, on each of the mantra commentaries, as an article in the Back to Godhead magazine when he started in 1944. So somewhere around that time, every Back to God article he used to publish, or whenever it was possible, he used to write a commentary on one of the mantras of Upanishads. Later on, all these Upanishads BTG articles were compiled together in the form of a commentary on Upanishads by Srila Prabhupada himself. Similarly, these essays were written by Bhaktivinoda Thakur separately, and they are now compiled in the book Bhaktyaloka. So now I'm writing this essay on Sadhu Vritti. So now he starts his Sadhu Vritti essay. There are two kinds of sadhus, householders and renunciants, grahasthas and grahatyagis. Now, I have a question. Just carefully think about it. Many times since the beginning of Bhaktivinoda Thakur's essays, we are seeing that Bhaktivinoda Thakur classifies only these two categories, grahasthas and grahatyagis. And whereas now in ISKCON and during Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur time, we see that there are brahmacharis, there are grahasthas, vanaprasthas, and sannyasis. So why does Bhaktivinoda Thakur classify only these two categories, grahasthas and grahatyagis? Anyone knows? Can raise their hand. Why does Bhaktivinoda Thakur only classify them as two categories? Anyone has any idea? Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So two categories are there because basically brahmacharis, sannyasis and vanaprasth are all refraining from self gratification, and then one category is grasthas.
Okay, interesting, very nice. Yeah, brahmacharis, vanaprasthas and sannyasis come in grahatyagis, and grahasthas come in the grahastha. So
Right.
that's a good explanation, but that's not the real purpose, or that was not the real thing what was at the time of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. If you remember, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas. He was born in a Brahmana family. He took sannyas order of the life and led an ideal sannyas life. But the Goswamis of Vrindavan, the 6 Goswamis especially, they were on the Paramhamsa stage, the Paramhamsa stage. And they had, in sannyas also there are different levels, Kuticha, Bahudaka, Parivrajakacharya, and Paramhamsa. Paramhamsa is, has transcended, the modes of nature, and he's completely aloof to any system of this world. So actually, especially Rupa and Sanatan, they were ostracized from the Brahmana community because they had worked for the Muslim Nawab. And they, out of their humility, felt that, we are not qualified for sannyas because we cannot fit in the Varnashram category. Although they were the best of the Brahmanas and the purest of the pure devotees. So they just accepted a loincloth. And they were completely absorbed in Radha Krishna's pastimes. Actually, they were in the Paramahamsa stage. And it is this line in which we were coming. But later on, it was only, they were, devotees. After, now I'm speaking after the 6 Goswamis, they were devotees who were in the family, who is to take up the practice of Krishna consciousness. And they used to be situated in their Varnashram, they used to do their duties. And being in the Grahastha ashram, slowly they used to absorb themselves more in hearing and chanting. And at a particular time, if they feel qualified, they would take up to directly the Babaji Vesh, the Paramhamsa Vesh. So the Paramhamsa Vesh or the Babaji Vesh was the highest. It's a Paramhamsa stage. It is beyond the Varnashram, in fact, in one sense. It is beyond the Varnashram. So this was what was prevalent during the 16th, 17th, and the 18th century. But in the 18th century, we saw that this highest platform, which the six Goswamis were, was cheaply imitated by especially the Sahajas and so many upper sampradayas. They also took up externally the Vesh of Babaji, but internally their consciousness was not so. And we saw so many upper sampradayas sprang up and created a havoc in the pure teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, because of that, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, during his time, he is referring to these two categories, because that time also these two categories were there. And if you see the life of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he himself was a Grahastha, and later on, he retired from his family and worldly work. He was a magistrate, and he took the Babaji Vesh and absorbed himself 24 hours in chanting. But his son, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, although he was also on the Paramahamsa stage, but yet he came within the boundaries of Varnashram and accepted the sannyas order of life. He started the Brahmachari ashram, the Brahmachari, Grahastha, Vanaprastha and Sannyas. So Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur himself started it because of cheap imitation of the Paramahamsa stage of the Goswamis by these upper sampradayas. So before Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, within the Gaudiya line, there were only two different classes of practitioners of devotees. One is the Grahasthas, another is the Grahatyagis. And now Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur established his system because Vaishnava means one who has transcended the three modes, and we know it is not so easy. That's why Prabhupada says Vaishnavism means postgraduate Brahmana. He's a postgraduate Brahmana. Brahmana means one who is in the mode of goodness, not that one who is born in a Brahmana family. So one who has transcended Sattvam Vishuddham Vasudeva Shabditam, one who has come to the Vishuddha Sattva platform, who is transcendental, he is actually a Vaishnava. And Varnashram helps us to slowly first come to the mode of goodness, and from the mode of goodness, then go to the pure goodness. So that is why in Bhaktivinoda Thakur's articles, we find these two categories only, the Grahasthas and the Grahatyagis. I hope it is clear. Any questions and clarifications regarding this important point about Grahasthas and Grahatyagis? Because in the article it will come up, because Bhaktivinoda Thakur is going to speak about now Varnashram, Brahmacharis, Grahasthas, Vanaprasthas, Sannyasis, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. He is going to speak. He is going to speak about it. But that category is based on Varnashram, but the classification he is doing is based on what was existing during his time, the Grahasthas and the Grahatyagis. Any questions, any clarifications you have about it? About what we discussed up till now? Okay, so then we will go ahead. Yeah, there are two kinds of sadhus, Grahasthas and the Grahatyagis, the householders and the renunciates. We should also remember, be it Brahmacharis or Vanaprasthas or the Sannyasis, the Grahasthas are also sadhus. They should treat them as sadhus. And of course, the Grahasthas themselves treat the Brahmacharis and Sannyasis as sadhus, which is very, actually healthy and uplifting for them. But the other way around is also very important, that we treat even the Grahasthas, that means the Brahmacharis, the Vanaprasthas, also the Grahasthas as sadhus. We look them as sadhus. So that's why Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying there are two kinds of sadhus, the Grahasthas and the Grahatyagis. I will separately describe the Vritti or occupation of each. Now, Vritti here meaning is occupation. So what I have done is, for every paragraph, this paragraph numbering is as per Veda base. I'll show you the Veda base. Yeah, here is the Veda base where this article comes. In the textbook, the paragraph numbering is not come properly, but in the Veda base, the paragraph numbering is there. So this is paragraph 1. This is paragraph 2. This is paragraph 3. So like that, based on the paragraph numbering, I have, each paragraph, I put a particular theme, meaning of the term sadhu. This is there in paragraph 1. So we are discussing paragraph 1 now. So vritti means occupation, he's saying. Although householders and renunciates have different occupations, there are some they have in common. So I mentioned they have different occupations. So that's why for grahastha, what is the sadhu vritti? For renunciates, what is the sadhu vritti? Bhaktivinoda Thakur is going to elaborately speak about it. Many points he's going to speak. Then he'll also speak something which is common also. We will be looking into it maybe from tomorrow. But today we will be only discussing Bhaktivinoda Thakur explaining what is vritti. The entire major part of the article, you can say 30% of the article is explaining what is vritti or occupation. These will be discussed separately. I mentioned, it will be discussed separately. There are two meanings of the word occupation: propensity and lifestyle. Propensity. Sometimes in English, if you ask, somebody who's just growing up, what is your inclination? You say, I want to go into engineering, I want to go into medical or dental. So that's your inclination. So that's your propensity. And based on your propensity, you will, that means based on your sabhava, you will, or your mentality, you lead a kind of a lifestyle also according to that. So grahasthas have their lifestyle, they have to lead. The brahmacharis and the renunciates have to lead a particular kind of lifestyle. So two meanings are what? Propensity and lifestyle. Both are interconnected in one sense, the propensity and lifestyle. Now he explains propensity. Propensity means one's nature, swabhava. Those natural propensities are the living entities, dharma. Please mark every word what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is speaking, because it might shake you off. Arey, we saw that the highest dharma is bhakti, but Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying the natural propensity or the swabhav, these natural propensity are the living entities, dharma. This is their dharma, he's saying. So what is he referring now? When he's saying propensity means one's nature, swabhava, and those natural propensities are the living entities, dharma. So what is he speaking exactly? What is he saying? Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji is referring to serving Krishna.
No, that is what is the crux of the matter. Now, I'll just give you a hint. In the Gita, second chapter, after analyzing the difference between matter and spirit, then giving a solution to Arjuna, then Krishna says that if you consider from dharma point of view also, it is, this war is religious, you have to fight. So there he is, swadharmam cha apiveksha, na vikampitum. I'll show the verse, then it becomes very clear. It is second chapter, verse 31, I think. Yeah, swadharmam cha apiveksha, na vikampitum arhasi, dharmadhi yuddachayonyat, kshatriyasya na vidyate. Swadharmam, one's own religious principles. Now, Prabhupada's word-to-word translation, if you read very carefully, then it helps us to go deeper. What is one's religious principle? one's own religious principle. Now I've given a lot of hint. Anyone can explain what, the natural propensities. Bhakti Thakur said those natural propensities are the living entities dharma. What it means now, Mataji, now you have some idea what it means? Yes, Mataji.
No, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Sorry, Prabhuji. Don't know.
Yeah. So now I've given you quite a lot of hints. So what is here the dharma is being spoken about, living entities dharma? What is Bhaktivinoda Thakur meaning here? Swabhava, based on such Swabhava. And that natural propensity is living entities dharma. What is he speaking about?
No, I don't know, Prabhuji.
Okay, fine. So here, okay, I will come back. Yes. I was pretty sure that it is not so easy. So what is Arjuna's nature? Okay, we'll go step by step. What is Arjuna's nature? What is Arjuna's swabhav, nature? Anyone? Yes, yes, Kshatriya, correct. So his nature is that of a Kshatriya. That is his swabhav. So based on the swabhava, there is a swadharma. Based on the swabhava, there is a swadharma. The flow is like that. Swabhava, swakarma, swadharma. Swabhava, swakarma, swadharma. I have it in the slide. It will come out. It will come up very soon. Or maybe I'll show it so that you are clear about it. Something. Yes. Swabhava, swakarma, and swadharma. Yeah. So many times devotees they want to know their nature. What is my nature? So if you want to know your internal nature, see the kind of activity you are inclined to do. Swakarma means one's own activity, one's own, religion. It was mentioned by Prabhupada. If you see in 2.31, one's own religious means swadharma. So here I'm connecting that swadharma. Here it is there. Swabhava, swakarma, swadharma. So swabhava is Arjuna's Kshatriya. He is inclined towards, not Brahminical activity, but Kshatriya activity, fighting. He's got a body also which has a lot of physical strength. He's got broad arms, very heavy, powerful arms and chest. So he's not like a lean Brahmana. I'm just giving an example. And he's inclined to what? Kshatriya, arms. Arms are Kshatriya, they protect the praja. So then he'll have to follow Kshatriya dharma, swadharma. So here when Krishna is speaking about swadharma, he's speaking not swadharma of the soul, that is pure devotional service. Swadharma based on one's nature, swabhava. I hope now it is at least clear where we are now discussing this point. Okay, I think some reason there are two slides. Yeah. Propensity means one's nature or swabhava. Those natural propensity are the living entities dharma. So he is speaking about swadharma. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is speaking about swadharma. That is Kshatriya. Swadharma is Kshatriya dharma, as it is given in the Shastras. I hope now this point is clear. If you have any questions here, you can ask, or any clarifications. Is this point clear so that we can proceed next? Swadharma is clear? Okay. Okay. Now I have put in the slide what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying. Two types of sadhus, the householders and the renunciates. Vritti is occupation. Vritti means two meanings, propensity of lifestyle, and propensity means swabhava. Same is for renunciates. Okay, now he'll come to that swabhava. He's giving the first scriptural reference. It is said in the Srimad Bhagavatam 7:11:31. This is still paragraph 1. Praya swabhava vihita vrinam dharmo yuge yuge veda drigbhi smrito rajan pretya cha sharmakrit. O King Rajan, Narad Muni, when he's discussing about Varnashram Dharma in chapters 11 to 15 of the Srimad Bhagavatam 7th canto, this discussion is coming. The whole Varnashram actually is discussed quite elaborately by Narad Muni to Yudhishthira Maharaj in the Srimad Bhagavatam after the Narasimha Leela pastime. The Narasimha Leela pastime practically is from canto 7, chapter 1 to chapter 10. Chapter 11 to 15 is Varnashram. How Uti, the Vasanas, how they can be dovetailed in practicing Dharma and ultimately then transcending. So for that, Varnashram has been discussed elaborately in 5 chapters. So there, Narad Muni is saying, O Rajan, King, those in knowledge of the Vedas say that Veda Drik Bhi, Drik means direction. So those who know, Smrita, those who know, they have knowledge. Those who are in knowledge of this Veda say that in every age, Yuge, an occupation according to one's nature, Dharma Swabhava Vihita, generally brings happiness. Sharma Krita Praya, in this life and after death. Pretya cha iha. Pretya means after death. So once you leave the body, it is called as pretya. So Narad Muni is saying that praya, almost, or generally, by doing occupation according to one's nature, what happens? That will bring us happiness. If you try to do occupation of someone's else's nature, which is not your nature, then you will not be happy. So that is the point, and this is first reference given by Bhaktivinoda Thakur to establish his point about propensity as one's own nature, and that is the living entity's dharma. So the dharma is to follow the swadharma according to Varnashram. That is the Varnashram dharma. Okay, now next paragraph 2. Any questions you have, you can always raise your hand. Now the second paragraph, propensity according to nature leads to elevation. So when according to your propensity, according to your swabhava, you do your swadharma, then slowly you get elevated. That's the point. Bhaktivinoda Thakur begins paragraph 2. By passing life in one's natural occupation. Natural occupation is according to one's nature. Now everyone can understand what one's nature is. It's not a big, rocket science. So what is my swabhava? What is my internal nature? Look at what kind of activities you're inclined to do, or you're engaged in right now. You're engaged in some kind of activity. So that is your nature. And based on that, there is a swadharma. So what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, by passing life in one's nature, natural occupation, one can attain devotional service free from the modes of nature. Now, bhakti, we might speak, being in Krishna consciousness, we only hear bhakti, devotional service. But bhakti means that which is transcendental. And we are still conditioned by the modes of nature. So that's why sometimes we should understand what is, Mishra Bhakti rather than what is Shuddha Bhakti. Because Shuddha Bhakti we are still not qualified for. Because Shuddha Bhakti qualification is very, very lofty. Anya abhilashita shunyam. No other desire except one desire to exclusively please the Lord. That criteria itself is very lofty, and many don't fit in that category at all. So that is why we should understand what are the mixed devotion also we should know. There is Satviki Bhakti, Rajasiki Bhakti, Tamasiki Bhakti, which is discussed by Kapil Dev in the Kapil Shiksha in chapter 29. And then he speaks about Nirguna Bhakti. So understanding mixed devotion helps us to understand what is pure and what is mixed. And knowing what is mixed, then you know what is pure. Then you strive for that pure. If you don't know that, what is pure and what is unpure, then you will not be able to distinction what you are doing. You'll never understand. Just like if you have never tasted Mysore pak made out of pure ghee, you have always tasted a Mysore pak which is made in dhalda or some inferior items. You have never known the taste of pure Mysore pak. Once you know the pure taste of Mysore pak, when you eat other Mysore pak which are not pure, then you can understand, oh, this is mixed. Similarly, we should also try to understand what is mixed devotional service in order to come to pure devotional service. So here is a very important point Bhaktivinoda Thakur is making, that one should first know one's nature and you should act according to your nature, and then one can attain devotional service free from the modes of nature. This is the first point he makes. Now, he says, otherwise one will fall into irreligion and he'll be unable to make gradual advancement. If he doesn't follow that dharma, then he'll do adharma. If Kshatriya, Arjuna as a Kshatriya doesn't fight his war, then it will be adharma for him. It will be pap. He will be implicated in sin for not following his Kshatriya duty. And this is the first thing. Secondly, he will not be able to make gradual advancement. So there is a gradual advancement which happens by engaging in the natural propensity, and slowly we transcend the modes and come to goodness. From goodness, we can come to pure goodness. Then Nirguna Bhakti actually starts. Now the second reference he gives. It is said in the Srimad Bhagavatam 7:11:32. The first reference also was from the Srimad Bhagavatam 7:11:31. This is 7:11:32. Vrittya swabhava kritaya vartamana swakarma krit hitva swabhavajam karma shanir nirgunatam iyat. So here there is swabhava, swakarma. Swabhava and swakarma is there. Both these terms I had used. Swabhava, swakarma, and swadharma is there. Swadharma was a term in the Bhagavad Gita we saw, 2.31. So both these terms are there. I hope those terminologies are clear. Now, this reference, if one acts in his profession according to his nature, swabhava kritaya vrittya. Vrittya means one's propensity. I am inclined in research. That means he is an intellectual class. I am inclined in management. That means he is a Kshatriya class. I am inclined to do business. That means he is a Vaishya class. I just want to do labor work. I know my consciousness is that I have to work every day, get at the end of the day my salary, work very hard, and then I can earn my bread. Just sitting in one place using my intelligence, I cannot make money. So that means he is a Shudra. So one's inclination, vritti, based on one's nature, one has to take a profession. Then what? After gradually giving up his actions, slowly, based on the nature you do actions with detachment, which is called as Nishkama Karma Yoga, then what happens? You slowly give up those actions because you are situated in knowledge, and you slowly, the heart gets purified. Shaner karma hitva. You should give up karma according to his nature. That giving up of karma is also based on swabhavajam. Then he attains the stage beyond the gunas. Nirgunatam iyat. So this is the second reference he has given. Now, in the next paragraph, paragraph 3, paragraph 2 spoke about propensity according to nature leads to elevation. And from there, what happens? This elevation further leads to Nirgun stage. I said, as you come to the mode of goodness, you attain detachment, and then bhakti, which is practiced at that level, from there you can go to pure goodness. Nirgunata, or the transcendental position, means devotion to Krishna. So real devotion begins when you have transcended the modes. Till then, it is all practice stage. Sadhana bhakti, there are 9 stages in devotion defined by Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Anyone knows the 9 stages? Raise your hand. Which are the 9 stages? Which are the 9 stages of bhakti? Nine stages in bhakti, different levels. Which are the 9 stages? Oh, nobody knows about the 9 stages of bhakti. Have we not heard about the 9 stages in Odesh? Yes, yes. Shraddha, Sadhu, Sangha. Yes, Mataji. Which are the 9 stages? Can you name them according to the number?
This is the problem, Prabhuji. I never know according to the number.
Yeah,
So,
okay, we'll count. Shraddha.
Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha.
One sense, not a stage, in fact. Shraddha is basically faith. There is Sadhu Sangha, the Bhajan Kriya.
Anarth Nivritti.
After that is Nishtha. After that is
Nishtha. Anarth Nivritti.
Nishtha.
Nishtha, Anarth Nivritti.
Ruchi.
Ruchi. Then Anarth Nivritti.
Asakti. 8th is Bhava and 9th is Prema. So there are 9 stages in which the 8th stage is Bhava and 9th is...
Which is Anarth Nivritti?
Anarth Nivritti is 4th.
After
Bhajan Kriya. It is, it goes simultaneously, Bhajan Kriya and Anarth Nivritti, but that is the sequence Vishwanath Chakra Thakur mentions in Madhura Kadambi. Okay. Now, there are 3 types of bhakti within these 9 stages. Which are the 3 types of bhakti which we practice within these 9 stages? We'll have to keep it a little interactive so that we can see that the audience are attentive. Which are the, Geeta Mataji, which are the 3 types of bhakti which we practice within these 9 stages? Are you there? Chinmay Mataji? Okay, so there are 3 types of bhakti. One is called as sadhana bhakti, other is called as bhava bhakti, and other is called as prema bhakti. Bhava bhakti is bhava stage, prema bhakti is prema stage. That means sadhana bhakti is right from shraddha till asakti. So all this in practice, whether it is Vaidhi sadhana or Raganaga, both are practice. So that's the point that, Nirgun or the transcendental position means devotion to God. So real devotion begins at the stage of Bhava in one sense. Till then it is only practice. Because only at the stage of Bhava, one transcends the modes of material nature. One is situated in the Shuddha Sattva platform in the stage of Bhava. Of course, at the stage of Nishtha, one is self-realized. Then slowly with the internal purification happening during the Raganuga stage, is quite elevated. But definitely at the stage of Bhava, one is fully liberated, one is situated in his one Swarupa. That is where real devotion actually begins. That is Nirgunata stage. So if we think we are practicing bhakti, we should say that we are, practicing. Just like I'm going to the school, you say, no, I'm not going to the school. I'm going to the kindergarten school. has still not entered school. So we have not still once in one sense entered the Bhakti school. We are still taking pre-training to enter into the Bhakti, real Bhakti school. Real Bhakti is yeah, sorry, there was some problem with the network. So what I was saying is that Bhava Bhakti is the stage of liberation where real devotion begins. Till then it is only practice stage. And there you have attained Nirgunata. Now he is giving a reference. As stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam 11:25-33. Tasmadeham imam labdva jnana vijnana sambhavam guna sangam vinu vinir duya bham bhajatu vichakshanah. Tasma, therefore, having achieved this human form of life, labdva, imam deham, having attained this human form of life, which allows one to develop full knowledge, jnana vijnana sambhavam. Those who are intelligent, vichakshana, should free themselves from all contaminations of the modes of nature. Guna sangam vinirdhuya. Dhuya means, dhu means to dhunoti, to cleanse. Vinirdhuya. Vishesh rupena nirdhut. Nirdhut means completely cleansing. Vishesh rupena nirdhuti virnidut. Dhuya is there. Here, duya is there. And engage exclusively in loving service to me. Mam bhajatu, bhajantu, bhajantu. So he's giving a reference that at transcendental position, there is devotion to Krishna. So when all the contamination is completely eradicated, then he attains devotion to me, loving service to me, loving devotion to me. So which kind of devotion, which kind of bhakti he attains when he completely becomes free from contamination? What is the kind of bhakti he attains? I told there are different types of bhakti. So which bhakti he attains, loving service to me is mentioned. What is the bhakti it is being referred here? Anyone knows? Can raise their hands. Hari Leela Mataji has typed as Prema Bhakti. It is Bhava Bhakti. I've already answered now. It is Bhava Bhakti. So it is Bhava Bhakti. Yes, Mataji, you have a question. Chinmay Mataji, you have a question? Just a minute, I'll unmute you. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji Dandapana.
Yes.
Yeah, is there any difference in Prema Bhakti and Bhava Bhakti?
Oh, there is a difference. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu speaks quite in detail about it. In Bhava Bhakti, one is almost cleansed of all the contamination, 99.9% you can say. Krishna Sakshat Yoga Drasho means he is qualified to actually have Sakshat Darshan of Krishna. But still there are traces of aparad, minute traces of aparad still remaining in the heart. Whereas in Prema Bhakti, there is complete eradication of even the aparads, the eradication of offenses, due to offenses, aparad, that is also completely eradicated. And even in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, when characteristics of pure devotion are mentioned, it is mentioned that Bhava Bhakti has two characteristics. And that is Sudurlabha and Moksha Lagutakrit. It makes liberation completely insignificant because the kind of bliss you attain in Bhava Bhakti, you are completely, you say tuchya to liberation. and Sudurlabha. It's very rare because Krishna doesn't easily award Bhava Bhakti. Bhava Bhakti is bestowed by the Lord. So that's why it is called as rare. And in Prema Bhakti, there are two more characteristics. Shri Krishna Akarshani. It can attract Krishna. Krishna becomes attracted to that devotee. Krishna is drawn towards that devotee. Krishna is pulled by that devotee's devotion which is there in the heart. He is able to capture Krishna in his heart. And Sandrananda Visheshatma. So the bliss is very condensed. The bliss is also so intense in Bhava Bhakti that, you consider, post of Brahma completely insignificant. You don't aspire anything in the 14 planetary systems. So this is Bhava Bhakti, but Prema Bhakti is still condensed, Sandrananda Visheshatma. So like that, there are 6 characteristics of pure devotion. In Sadhana Bhakti, 2 characteristics manifest, Kleshagni and Shubhada. In Bhava Bhakti, there are 4 characteristics. There is Kleshagni, there is Shubhada, more in quantity and quality. And there is also Sandrananda Sudurlabha and Moksha Lagutakrat. And in Prema Bhakti, Kleshagni is completely, 100%. Shubhada is all the auspicious qualities are there. And then there is also Sudurlabha and Moksha Lagutakrat. But there are additional 2 qualities in Prema Bhakti, that is Sandranand Visheshatma and Shri Krishna Akarshani. I hope it is clear, Mataji. Yeah. Okay. So we are referring to this, that it refers to Bhava Bhakti here. Now, Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives explanation. We are going a little slow because this subject is very important for our devotees. Especially, we have to study the Uddhav Gita for this. And then we get a clear understanding. We think that we are practicing directly devotional service, but still we are under the modes. So for us to follow the Varnashram and become situated in the Varnashram and gradually purify ourselves, come to the mode of goodness and then transcend and practice pure devotional service is the only way out. And that's what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is going to establish this in his essay. And that's why I'm going a little slow. It has been ascertained by the Lord's use of the 2 words Nirgunam and Mad Upashayam. So this Nirgunam and Mad Upashayam, these 2 words are used by the Lord in Srimad Bhagavatam 11:25-29, just previous to the verse quoted. So these verses 25-33, but previous verses, the Lord has used these words. That whatever is performed out of devotion is called Nirgun or transcendental. So by using the words Nirgunam and Madhupasham, what is performed out of devotion is Nirgun or it is transcendental. The Srimad Bhagavatam 11:25, 34-35, now he's referring to 33 is there, 34 and 35 states, Rajas Tamascha Vijayet Sattvam Samsevaya Munihi Sattvam Cha Vijayet Yuktah Nirpekshena Sanshantadhi. He should conquer the modes of passion and ignorance. Rajas Tamas Cha Abhijayet, by engaging himself only with things in the mode of goodness. Sattvam Samsevaya Muni, thus pacified within his mind, Shantadhi, the spirit soul, freed from the modes of nature. Nirpekshena, gives up the very cause of his conditioned life and attains me. Now Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives the explanation. Therefore, people can become free from the modes of nature if they pass their lives dovetailing everything, sattvic objects, activities, time, and place with the devotional service of the Lord. Now, please mark here, it is very important that what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying is sattviki objects. Because ultimately it is mentioning here in this verse that one should conquer the modes of passion and ignorance. If we are in ISKCON, we are taking prasadam, we still have liking for, hot and spicy food, which is filled with chili and garam masala, and we like to eat that kind of prasad. It is prasad, but it is not in the mode of goodness. Then we are still conditioned to the lower modes of passion and ignorance. But one should eat foods which are more in the mode of goodness, because once the mode of goodness increases, then we can conquer the modes of passion and ignorance. So that's why it is mentioned sattviki objects, activities, time and place with the devotional service of life. Devotional service of the Lord. We have to dovetail all this with devotional service to the Lord. Only human beings are eligible for propensities in the mode of goodness, and remaining in that state, they gradually become free from the modes. So only human beings can come to the mode of goodness. That is the prerogative of the human form of life. And if we continue to stay in the mode of goodness, then gradually we can come to Shuddha Sattva. Now, after explaining about this, giving this reference, what are the characteristics or the propensities of those who are in the mode of goodness? He again comes back to the 7th canto, 11th chapter. The general propensities of human beings in the mode of goodness are described in the Srimad Bhagavatam 7:11, 8-12 as follows. Now, I've narrated them in the form of points. Satya, speaking the truth without distortion or deviation. This is activity in the mode of goodness. Daya, sympathy for everyone suffering. Tapa, austerities such as observing fast at least twice a month on the day of Ekadasi. Saucha, cleanliness, bathing regularly at least twice a day, morning and evening, and remembering to chant the holy name. Titiksha, toleration, being unagitated by seasonal changes or inconvenient circumstances. Iksha, distinguishing between bad and good. Shrama, control of the mind, not allowing the mind to act whimsically. Dhamma, actually this should have been 7th point. By mistake, I could not number it. So this is 7, this is 8 then. Shama means control of the mind. Dhamma means control of the senses, not allowing the senses to act without control. Ahimsa, okay, I'll change it here only. No, later on I'll do it. Brahmacharya, Tyaga, giving in charity at least 50% of one's income. Prabhupada picked up from here, Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Swadhyaya, reading of transcendental literatures like Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Ramayana, Mahabharata. Saralta, simplicity, freedom from mental duplicity. Santosh, being satisfied with that which is available without severe endeavor. Samadrishi, Janera Seva, rendering service to saintly persons who make no distinction between one living entity and another, and who sees every living entity as spirit soul. Grame Cheshta Haite Nivritti, not taking part in so-called philanthropic activities. Viparya Eksha, distinguishing unnecessary activities. Vrittalapa Nivritti, Maunam, being grave and silent. Atma Vimarshana, research into the self. Annadira Vibhaga, equal distribution of food and drink. Sakala Loka Bhagavad Sambandha Buddhi, accepting all living entities as related to the Lord, as well as Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Seva, Ijja, Nati, Dasya, Sakya, Atmanirvana. So the Navvida Bhakti is here. Now, all together form 30. These are all the characteristics of one, what? General propensities of human beings which are in the mode of goodness. These are the, so we have to look whether we have this. If we don't have this, then we have to endeavor to work so that we can be in the mode of goodness. These are all again connected directly to devotion. You can see that. This is directly Navvida Bhakti, the activities of the soul. Now, according to the differentiation of these 30 characteristics, the 4 varnas, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra, and the 4 ashramas, Brahmachari, Grahastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas are born. Now, you might be wondering, Brahmanas are in goodness, Kshatriyas are in passion, Vaishyas are in passion, ignorance, Shudras are in ignorance. Yes or no? But here it is mentioned all these characteristics, according to these characteristics in the mode of goodness, there is classification of Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras. How is that? Anyone would like to answer? I hope the question is clear. I hope the question is clear at least for everyone. If it is not clear, you can raise your hand and ask me. Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentioned that the propensities in the mode of goodness are these 30 characteristics. Now, if these propensities are in 30, these propensities are in the mode of goodness, and based on these propensities which are in the mode of goodness, there is Brahmana, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras. But we have till now heard that Brahmanas are in the mode of goodness, Kshatriyas are in the mode of passion, Vaishyas are in the mode of passion, mixed ignorance, and Shudras in the mode of ignorance. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, based on these propensities which are in the goodness, there is classification of Brahmana, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras. How is that? How do you understand Bhaktivinoda Thakur's statement? I hope my question is clear to you all. If it is not, then I can repeat it also. I would like to make this point very clear because this is not understood many times. Anyone would like to, want me to repeat? Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentioned the propensities in the mode of goodness. 30 points he gave. We went through those 30 points. I'll share the screen. 1 second. I'll share the slides. We saw this 20 is the list, but actually it is here. There are 9, Shravanam, Kirtanam, all these. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur very clearly said, here is that slide. He says, the generally propensities of human beings in the mode of goodness. These are the propensities, 30 in number. And he's saying, according to these 30 characteristics, the 4 are varnas, Brahmana, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras are there. Now, we have an understanding that Brahmanas are in the mode of goodness, Kshatriyas in the mode of passion, Vaishyas in the mode of mixed passion and ignorance, and Shudras in the mode of ignorance. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, based on the mode of goodness, these characteristics, then there is this classification of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. How is that? How is this? I hope the question is clear now. How do you understand now Bhaktivinoda Thakur's statement? How many of us have an understanding that yes, Brahmanas are in the mode of goodness, Kshatriyas in the mode of passion, Vaishyas in the mode of passion and ignorance, and Shudras in the mode of ignorance? This is our understanding. Raise your hands. Yes, there is one hand which is raised. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, based on these qualities, 30 qualities which are in the mode of propensities in the mode of goodness, we have this classification of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. So how do you understand Bhaktivinoda Thakur's statement? Was my question. Yes, it is a little difficult, so we will discuss now. Here, I'm just for sake, like usually it is good to use a board and a pencil as in the school we used to learn with a chalk. Nowadays we have whiteboards with markers. So here I'm just trying to explain this point, that there is the mode of goodness. Within goodness, there is goodness also. Sorry, difficult to write. Then there is goodness plus passion, G plus P I'll make. Then there can be, sorry, here it is only passion. Within goodness there is passion, then there is passion plus ignorance, and then there is ignorance. That means the Brahmanas, here are the Brahmanas, they have a higher degree of goodness, within goodness. And then there is the Kshatriyas, there is also a certain level of goodness, but passion is also prominent. So that is why this whole 30 characteristics are qualities in the mode of goodness. And based on the degree, the more one has all these qualities, he will fall in the Brahmana category. One who has less of these qualities to lesser degrees, then he'll fall in the Kshatriya category. One who has still lesser these qualities, he'll fall in the Vaishya category. And one who is having still lesser qualities, 30 qualities, he'll fall in the Shudra category. This is regarding goodness. Now, please don't get confused, but try to understand there are 14 planetary systems. The upper planetary systems are in which mode? Anyone can answer? The upper planetary systems are in which mode? Yes, Mataji.
Mode of goodness.
And
Mode of goodness rather than including passion and little bit of passion.
pardon? I'm not able to hear clearly. Can you speak a little loudly, Mataji? Hare Krishna.
Mode of goodness, Prabhuji.
It's more of goodness. That means mode of passion is not there in the higher planetary systems. Okay. Yes, in one sense, there is the mode of goodness. There is also mode of goodness, MG I'll put it, plus if there is additional goodness here, then he's qualified as a Brahmana. Brahmaji is a Brahmana. So in the higher planetary systems also there is mode of goodness plus mode of passion. Not so clear, but anyway, I hope you can understand. So all the kings like Indra, Chandra, Varuna, they are all Kshatriya kings. So although goodness is prevalent there, but there is the mode of passion is also there. And based on that, the classification is that they are Kshatriyas by nature. Brahmaji is only a Brahmana who doesn't lift weapons. Indra and all fight. The Bhagavatam story says. The middle planetary system is passion. And the lower planetary system is ignorance. Now, within passion, there is the mode of goodness. Right? And within this, there is goodness, passion, and then there is ignorance. So they're glad the classification is that. So, it is trichromatic, we say. Trichromatic means 3 colors mixed together. Somebody tells, my Prakriti is Vata. It doesn't mean that he only has Vata. No, Pitta and Kapha is there, but to a lesser degree. Somebody says my Prakriti is Pitta. It doesn't mean that Vata is not there in him. No, Vata is there, but prominent is Pitta. Maybe Kapha, Pitta, Vayu. That is how Ayurveda analyzes the Prakriti of a person. What is his Prakriti when he is born? So based on the Prakriti, Pitta is prominent, but there is also Kapha, mixture of Kapha and Vata also. But it is, in a combination. Similarly, within passion, there is, the mode of goodness is there, then the mode of passion is there. And then there is passion, goodness, passion. Sorry. Passion, and passion, ignorance. And with ignorance, there is ignorance plus goodness, ignorance plus passion, and ignorance plus ignorance, deeper ignorance. So like that, this combination will always be there. So although I spoke about goodness qualities here, based on that I said goodness, passion, Brahmana, Kshatriya. So I was speaking about here, because we are on the earth planet. If we are doing this classification of Varnashram in the higher planetary systems, then we will refer to here, because the goodness is to higher degrees there. So that is the difference. I hope this point is clear. Any questions or clarifications regarding this point up till now, what we discussed? Then we will come to this. Then we will be coming to the point of discussing this. Understanding this Vritti or Sabhav is very, very important. Any questions, any clarification? Okay, fine. So we had a long discussion about this, why, how this, based on goodness, these classification of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, because there is passion, goodness, there is passion, but to a certain degree there is goodness also. That's why he is a Kshatriya. Vaishya also, Shudra also has to certain level of goodness. He has good qualities. Na ati manita, as in the Gita 16th chapter is mentioned. So he has, that's why he is part of the Varnashram society. So that's why there is some level of goodness. There is, he has faith in, worshipping the Lord. He has faith in the Vedas. So that, but the goodness degree is less. That's it. So based on the goodness degrees, this classification of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra is done. And the 4 ashramas, Brahmachari, Grahastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas. Now, the 4 social orders and the 4 spiritual orders, we always refer to that. Now, Varna means Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, and Ashrama means Brahmachari, Grahastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyas. Now, the Varna refers to one's nature. What is one's nature? Swabhav. By Swabhav, what is his, whether he is having Brahmanical inclination, Kshatriya inclination, Vaishya inclination, or a Shudra inclination. All 4, you have to understand that they have their nature and they have to engage according to their propensity. Like a Shudra would take up, like skills like carpentry or metal work. A Vaishya will take up Krishi, Goraksha, Vanijyam. Kshatriya will do Shatra Dharma, and the Brahmana will do his study of Ved Pata. And all follow their Swadharma based on their Swabhava. The ashramas are different stages during the life of a Brahmana, Kshatriya, and Vaishya, especially. I don't know about Shudras, I don't recollect. Because I know Brahmanas go through Brahmacharya, Grahastha, Sometimes they might not go through the Grahastha ashram, they can directly take sannyas. From brahmachari take sannyas. So the Brahmanas go through brahmachari, grahastha, vanaprastha and sannyas order. The Kshatriyas can go up till where? Anyone knows? In the ashram orders. Anyone knows? The Kshatriyas? The Kshatriyas, they also practice brahmacharya. Arjuna was practicing brahmacharya. That's why, he was so elevated. He was also a grahastha, and they can go up till the vanaprastha order. The Kshatriyas are not allowed to take sannyas. The Vaishyas also similarly, brahmachari, grahastha, and vanaprastha. The Shudras, I'm not really aware. They go up till grahastha as far as I recollect. Again, it is speculation. I will have to refer. So these are the spiritual orders. These are the social orders and these are the spiritual orders. Now, Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives a quote. 11-18-42. In 11-18-40 Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said, Bhikshur dharma shamo himsa tapa iksha vano kasa grihino bhuta rajejya dvijacharya sevanam. The main religious duty of a sannyasi is equanimity and non-violence. Bhikshur dharma shamo ahimsa. Whereas for the vanaprastha, austerity and philosophical understanding of difference between body and soul is permanent. Tapa iksha vanokasa. Vanokasa means one who is living in the vanaprastha means one who is retired from family life and is practicing austerity in the vana. That's why it is called as vanaprastha. Sannyasi's quality is equanimity and non-violence. Vanaprastha is doing austerity and now doing philosophical analysis between body and soul, because he has given up karma and he is now doing tapasya. He's understanding the subtleties. Grihino, that is a grahastha. The main duties of the householders are to give shelter to all living entities and perform sacrifices. Bhuta raksha ijja, rakshejja it has become. And the brahmachari is mainly engaged in serving the spiritual. Dvija acharya sevanam. So brahmachari, grahastha, vanaprastha and sannyas, what are their religious duties? Brahmachari, grahastha, vanaprastha and sannyas, what are the religious duties? This reference Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives. Now, he has spoken now about the spiritual orders. Now, what are their duties according to their varnas, social orders? That is what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is going to come now. The life occupations of the four varnas, varna means brahmachari, brahmana, kshatriya, vaishya and shudra, are stated as follows. Study, teaching, worship, teaching, worship, giving charity and accepting charity are the six. These six are the brahmanas' occupations. Patana, patana, yajana, yajana, dana, pratigraha. These are the shad brahmana karya. If you are interested in studying, if you are interested in teaching, if you are interested in worship and teaching others worship, you are qualified to accept dan. And brahmanas, it's not that they just take dan, but they also give. They do a lot of charity. So these six characteristics are the characteristics of one who is a brahmana. Out of these, they should maintain their life by teaching worship and accepting worship. So this is how the brahmanas. The Kshatriya's occupation are protecting the praja by punishing miscreants and maintaining the life by taxation. This is the Kshatriya dharma. Swadharma. Swabhava, Swakarma, Swadharma. So the Swadharma of the Brahmana, the Swadharma of the Kshatriya is being discussed now. Swadharma for Kshatriya, Vaishya. Farming, protecting cows and business are the Vaishya's occupations. Krishi, Goraksha, Vanijam. In the Bhagavad Gita also 18th chapter, Krishna speaks about it. Only serving Brahmanas is the livelihood of the Shudras. The Shudras serve the Brahmanas, do menial service. The traditional occupation of those who are lower than Shudras are their means of livelihood. The traditional occupations. So like, there are many other traditional occupations which don't, those who are lower than the Shudras, They can take up those study of things, and that is their means of livelihood. Now, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is going to conclude something from this discussion. Oh, still we are long way because we are going step by step and slowly. Let me see what is the time. We have 5 more minutes. So I will conclude this paragraph and then we will take up tomorrow again. From all these conclusions of Srimad Bhagavatam, it should be understood that performing devotional service to Sri Hari is the only purpose of life. There is no other purpose. Ata Pumbe Vijashreshta Varnashrama Vibhagasha Swanishtishtasya Dharmasya Samsiddhir Haritoshanam. Haritoshanam. We follow all the Varnashram duties exclusively for pleasing Hari. Unless one makes the gross and subtle bodies favorable for devotional service, one cannot engage in such. Now, this point is very important for us to understand. Kindly hear what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying. There is a need for some arrangements in order to attain a favorable conditions in those two bodies, gross and subtle bodies. So the goal of life is to perform devotional service to Hari, and there is no other purpose of life. And to achieve this devotional service to Hari, that means the soul completely engaged in pure devotion, we have to make the gross and subtle bodies favorable for devotional service. So there has to be some arrangements by which the gross and subtle bodies are favorable. Now he speaks about it. First, in order to maintain the gross body, there is need to accumulate a house, household items, grains and drinks. Now, please try to practically understand. Suppose there is a family, the wife is married, the husband says, I will just chant, and Krishna will take care of my house. It can happen like that. If you are in a transcendental position like Srivas Pandit, if you are at home and there is no items to cook and feed the deity and feed the husband, feed the children, will the wife or the family members or the husband himself, will he able to peacefully chant Hare Krishna? No, it's not possible. There is the demand of the gross body. The gross body has to be maintained. And for the gross body to be favorably maintained, situated so that it can practice devotional service, there is need of household items. There have to be grains and drinks. For the propensity, no, it should be propensity. 1 second. Yeah, it is prosperity, sorry. For the prosperity of the subtle body, one needs proper knowledge and proper occupation. Now, he is speaking about here what? Subtle body means what? He is speaking about Sabhav. So, one's nature is, I'm inclined, I'm an intellectual class, I'm inclined towards research. So, I'll have to, get that knowledge and get that kind of an occupation. I'm inclined towards management. So, I have to attain management knowledge and be in that field. I'm inclined towards business. So I have to enter a business school, attain how economics, understand the knowledge of economics, and then practice economics. So like that, all this, prosperity of the subtle body, there is prosperity of the gross body, the need to accumulate things of gross body. Then for the prosperity of the subtle body, this is required. In order to make the bodies completely favorable for devotional service, there is a need to situate them above the modes of nature. So these gross and subtle bodies should be completely favorable to devotional service. And then there is also need to situate them above the modes of nature. Because I mentioned bhakti means which transcends the modes. Nirgun bhakti. Due to the result of fruitive activities from time immemorial, whatever nature and desires a living entity develops is certainly a mixture of goodness, passion, and ignorance. There was a heavy wind. Sorry for that. There is some heavy wind here. I had to close the door. Due to the results of fruitive activities from time immemorial, whatever nature and desires a living entity develops is certainly a mixture of goodness, passion, and ignorance. By first enriching the mode of goodness, one should diminish and defeat passion and ignorance and make goodness prominent. So this is the point also Bhaktivinoda Thakur had made initially. When the mode of goodness is completely under the control of devotional service, then it becomes nirgun. This mode of goodness should not be under the control of goodness. It should be completely under the control of devotional service, bhakti. Then it becomes nirgun. This is the point to be noted. By following this gradual process, one's body, mind, and environment become fit for devotional service. So what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is speaking, I have just put in the chart here. The soul has to be made favorable for devotional service. Now the soul is first in a subtle body and there is a gross body. The gross body has the need to accumulate household items, grains, drinks. The subtle body has its need of proper knowledge and occupation. So when the subtle body, gross body are in one sense in line, you can say in line, then the gross and the subtle body should be made favorable for devotional service. That means they are in line. I'll just give you an example. You have a nature of a businessman and you are always told to do research in Shastra. That's not your inclination. Internally, you will not be happy and you cannot advance in devotional service. If you are told, find out from the Bhagavatam in which verse this pastime is described, you might, that businessman might say, better tell me to collect some funds for building a temple. I'll be more inclined to that. It is a Brahmana. He will get, the moment he gets the stimulus, he's very excited to do that research and find out from the Bhagavatam. But, a businessman goes to the Brahmana and tells, let's go and raise funds. The Brahmana will say, let's sit below the tree and just sit and chant Hare Krishna. So, everyone has his nature, which is there in the subtle body. And based on that nature, he has to, engage them favorably for cultivation of devotional service so that ultimately the soul is situated favorable in devotional service. So once the gross body and the subtle body are situated in line, they are aligned in one sense, favorable for devotional service, then we should situate the gross and subtle body above the three modes. So that's the point Bhaktivinoda Thakur is making here. Now, from this discussion onwards, after explaining this, then he comes to the need for Varnashram, which is a very, very important discussion, which we will take up tomorrow. So I just short 3-4 minutes more than 9 o'clock. We started a little late, I think 7:34. So I hope it is okay. So any questions, any clarifications up till now, what we discussed? I know this last topic is difficult because we have not studied this subject quite in depth. That's why you might find it a little difficult, but it is very important for us to understand it. Yes, Harilila Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, you have some slide regarding the Swabhava, Swadharma.
Yes.
Swabharma.
Yeah. Yeah, it will come up. Yeah, what is your question, Mataji?
No, I wanted to. Yes, yes, yes.
Hmm.
This really makes it clear for me.
Mhm.
You had some explanation also behind this. So I wanted to understand that more clearly because that itself is the foundation for this Varnashram Dharma principle.
Yes, yes. It will come up now because we have not come up till here now. We are somewhere, yeah, here. So now when he explains about Varnashram, I cannot go a lot in detail about it because it is very exhaustive, especially you'll have to go through 11th canto and all. Oh, here 11th canto reference is coming. But in brief, within 2-3 points, based on Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita, Prabhupada, Bhaktivinoda Thakur establishes that although we might say that we are practicing, devotion bhakti, but we are completely under the modes. We are completely under the modes. So actually, we are in one sense practicing Mishra Bhakti. Mostly it is Karma Mishra Bhakti. So for us, the best thing would be first is to uh, situate ourselves in the Varnashram. And based on our nature, we'll have to take up occupations. And we take up these occupations so that we can, get time to hear Krishna Katha and chant the holy names. So the more we hear Krishna Katha, the more we chant the holy names, our faith in bhakti will increase and the effect of the modes will come down. And once our faith is deep, solid rock, by hearing regular Krishna Katha, we have acquired that, Shraddha, which is very deep, where we have complete faith in the Lord, where we can give up everything and just practice devotion and not do anything. That is the stage where Ananya Bhakti begins actually for us in one sense. Till then, we have to be situated in the Varnashram, and this deep conditioned nature, what we have to dovetail it slowly, make it favorable to devotional service, and slowly and gradually transcend the modes of ignorance, passion, come to the mode of goodness, and then from goodness go to pure goodness. So that is the step-by-step procedure. For that, Varnashram is the vehicle by which Prabhupada explains in one of the purports, just like you would take a uh, raw material from the earth and you go put it through a process by which you get the raw material, finished product. Similarly, a conditioned soul filled with samskars, vasanas, through the process of Varnashram, he gets purified and he can become a pure Vaishnava. So purifying ourselves by situating in the Varnashram and doing our core practices of pure devotional service, we can come to a point where we can practice exclusive pure devotional service, Ananya Bhakti, when we have transcended the modes. Till then, we have to be situated in the modes and we have to do occupations based on our swabhav. That is in summary. I hope it is clear, Mataji.
Yes, little bit. So till we are not stepping ourselves in Varnashram, our Swabhava is driving us as per our modes.
There is
Meaning,
one understanding we get. Right now also, we are controlled by our natures. We are controlled by our natures. In the Gita, in the 18th chapter, Arjuna is being told by Krishna, Swabhavajena. Now, I'll just show you the verse. It's very important. This verse of the Gita. I think. Yes, 18.60. I'm just sharing the screen. Swabhavajena kaunteya nipadyasvena karmana kartum nechasi yan mohat karishyasi avashopiyat. Swabhava Jaina. Swabhava means nature. Jaina means born out of. Born out of your own nature. O son of Buddhi, nibhadde, your condition. Swena. Swena means swa karma. You will be inclined to do your own duties. Kartum na ichasi, even if you don't like. Mohat, now you are not ready to do according to your dharma, according to illusion, because of illusion. But you will do. Karishyasi avashya api tat. Under illusion, you are now declining to act according to my direction, but compelled by the work born of your own nature, you will act all the same, O son of Buddhi. I'll just give you one practical example to understand this. We like take a family which is practicing Krishna consciousness of morning, attending Mangal Arati, chanting the rounds, and maintaining the deities at home. But in the family unit, the wife, she's a grahastha in the family, and the wife has her duties according to varnashram. Now, because one is in Krishna consciousness, sometimes we think we have transcended. Oh, let me not attend to my duties as a wife in the varnashram. Let me go and preach out, or I'm not against preaching, but I'm just giving that example. Take this in the context. I will try to do transcendental activities of book distribution and all, and I neglect my essential duties which are required to be done as a stri, which is a stri dharma based on the varnashram, and the conflicts happen in the family. So my point is, the Krishna consciousness, what Prabhupada is speaking, is completely transcendental. First, we are conditioned by our natures. So we have to understand our conditioned natures and engage those conditioned natures according to that dharma. At the same time, practice the core pure devotional activities of hearing and chanting and following the 4 regulative principles. And only when one has transcended the modes or come to the mode of goodness, and when we study in the mode of goodness, and one has finished all his duties, taken care of everything at a particular time, Krishna then will give you full-fledged opportunity where you can completely 24 hours engage in pure devotional service, which is very, very exalted. So that's the point we need to understand. Is it clear, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji, yes.
Yeah, fine. Okay, thank you very much. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.